but now I have to unmute everything in OBS, which is, pretty standard for everything. But hello out there, Twitch. I forgot to say hello in the Twitch chat, so that's entirely on me. But this is episode 1 of A Ball to Die For, a Realms of Pugmire 2nd edition actual play. Quick disclaimer before we get into the actual meat of the session, so to speak. These rules will be changing. Eddie Webb, the games creator, founder of Pugsteady Games, posted on the 10th about the whole OGL thing, that he was making changes to the rules and removing any OGL content from the Realms of Pugmire rule set, so that it is its own thing. On the Monday meeting notes, which is the regular weekly blog that Onyx Path puts out, they mentioned that this will Realms of Pugmire 2nd edition will use the Onyx 20 dice rules, mechanics, whatever you want to say. So stuff that we're talking about here will not be in the final rules. They'll have different names for mechanics and things like that. So please, huge caveat that what we're playing is not the game that you'll be backing on Kickstarter at the end of the month. And during that Kickstarter, I would anticipate that you'll be receiving the backer preview manuscript using a newer rule set than what we have. That said, we're still playing to the spirit of Pugmire. The narrative is going to remain the same. It is just, the narrative that we have used as a springboard for our story tonight and for the next couple of weeks. That'll all be the same. It's just the mechanics that will change. So please, as I say, bear that in mind. I'm just scanning through Eddie's message on the Discord, on the Onyx Path Discord server, which Nightbot will share a link for periodically. And I'm just seeing if there's anything else to make everyone be aware of that. I can't see anything else that you'll need to be aware of. So the TLDR that all of the OGL, all of the mechanics covered by the OGL in 2nd edition Realms of Pugmire will not be included in the final product because they're protected by a license that Eddie wants to step away from for understandable reasons. Unstabilized has said, I expect the rules will be similar though, so there shouldn't be any problems. Well, exactly. The rules themselves are mostly distinct from the OGL material anyway, so it is probably going to be a smooth transition. I mean, obviously, we can see things that you can't in chat because we've got the rules. And as someone who's been playing D&D since it started, 5th edition specifically, since it came out, there's a lot here that's different and that's actually better. So it should be fine. So that was that. So introductions for people who were not here last time. My name is Ryan. I am the guide. I go by Comrade Bubbles in Twitch, Twitter, pretty much everywhere. That's why it's been known my name. I actually am running my show on Tuesday this week. If you do like what you see here, I will be talking about how to write content for 1st edition because I have an excellent sense of timing and started that season of the show shortly before 2nd edition was announced. But that's me. Alphabetically, it'll be Lee next. So Lee, if you want to introduce yourself and whatnot.
Hi, I'm Lee. I will be playing Momo, the Australian Shepherd, who is very excited and a little bit of a crackhead. I am available on Twitter as @Scriftly and other social media platforms, and you can find me as Ipsy. And I am very excited to be here. I don't have any other shows to promote right now, but I'm glad to be here.
That'd be Rosie.
Hello, I am Rosie, regular size mom. You can find me on Twitter @mom_size or on all the socials as @oddduckdice. Dice make me happy, so I make dice. Not anything immediate to promote, but keep an eye on my Twitter and my socials, and you will see stuff coming up. But I'm glad you joined us to watch all of us be good dogs. I am being Cecil, who is an Afghan ratter, kind of roguish. See what underbelly tricks she gets up to. Try and hear.
Hey everybody, my name's Tom. You can find me on socials at Bolthra, Bolthra. Today I'll be playing Sigmund. He is a big fluffy Pyrenees. He's the guardian / tank of the group, and is probably going to be the pack dad, I would imagine, after a while. Probably maybe keeping the other two in line, but we'll see. Maybe they have to keep him in line. So glad to be here and looking forward to playing.
Grant, speaking of keeping in line, friendly reminder to people in chat, I am a mod on the channel, so behave. We have had a discussion shortly before the stream started about the tone of the game, and it's basically I'll react to whatever the players provide. I'm a huge fan of player-driven storytelling, and as is common with most actual plays, we're going to respect each other's time and the fact people are talking and mute ourselves when we are not talking. A reminder for people in the Zoom call, because they can see such things. I mute myself on my microphone because it has a big red flashing light that tells me I'm muted. I don't mute myself in Zoom because I just learned that I forget constantly that is the case. Do you have any questions before we begin A Ball to Die For?
Nope, I'm ready.
Good to go.
Okay, so if my players have any questions about the setting, please do feel free to ask. I know that you are not perhaps as familiar with it as some people in chat that I could specifically name because I know they play Pugmire regularly. But we're starting with we are obviously I've made a big deal on social medias and Discord about the game taking place in Hampton, but we start, as most Pugmire games I imagine start, in the royal city of Pugmire itself. I took the easy out, and you are all members of the Royal Pioneers. Thank you for the resub, Plastic Age Plays. The state-sanctioned, the imperial-sanctioned adventurers that go out into the wilds of the world and deal with the unseen and monsters and recover relics of the old ones to use, theoretically, to then go out into the wilds again and find more. But an important part of how Pugmire itself is ruled is that if a family, which is what we would understand as breeds, has a relic, they can become a noble family of the empire and gain some political power, some political sway. So the city of Pugmire was set up by Vincent Pug. It was founded by Vincent Pug, sorry. And towards the end of like his life, and I think it was the life of his son, but it's been a while since I read that bit of the setting. The Hound family decided that they wanted to, more power and stuff, and made a move to build their power base, and eventually stuff happened, as stuff happens all the time in politics. This is a very reductive overview of something I remember reading 2 weeks ago. Eventually, the Hound family moved to, or split, fractured, and many of the Hound families moved elsewhere to found mines, and they were for the purpose. So, out of meta knowledge, above table, whatever you want to call it, the core rulebook doesn't include much stuff on Houndton, and I don't have any material from first edition that covers Houndton, so this is all me just making it up as I go along for the purposes of the story. The only one that is specifically named as being in Houndton are the Transylvanian Hounds. So the noble families that govern Houndton, which is part of the empire, and that its Lord Mayor owes kind of like fealty to the crown. The Transylvanian Hounds, who have fallen on hard times, their castle remains abandoned on the hill that it was built upon. The Afghan Hounds, the Basset Hounds, the Fox Hounds, the Greyhounds, and the Wolf Hounds. Those are the noble families that kind of air quotes own Houndton in a way. They founded villages around their estates, so it was Transylvanian Hound Town, Afghan Hound Town, etc., which became Transylvanian Houndton, Afghan Houndton, and then it just became Houndton because they just grew so much that all of the towns kind of merged together, and it's just one big, massive political infighting for who controls Houndton. So that's important world context for the events that follow. So, as I said, you are royal pioneers. You are, as I'm just going to take the standard shorthand of, you have character levels, so you have some experience doing something that sets you apart from other pioneers, for example. For ease, would you all be happy if we just assume that you've adventured together and know what each other's basic capabilities? Cool. Grand. So as part of being a pioneer, you have a handler, usually a retired pioneer themselves. So your handler is Molly, the Red Setter. You can probably guess why she's known as that. More importantly, she is an old dog at the age of 42. She left active service after a quest went horribly awry, and has spent the better part of the last decade as a handler. And you know that she's lost pioneers under her watch, and every one that she has lost has deepened the psychological trauma of her lifestyle. But she is an artisan, which is essentially a wizard. It is a dog, cat, or rat, or rodent, sorry, who has studied a masterwork of the Old Ones and has used it as a spellcasting focus. But I don't know how other people do it, how other tables play it, but obviously every table's different and every GM is different, or guide in this case. I would like to know what happened at the recent funeral of Scott Retriever, a former member of Molly Setter's Pioneer Party, that gave her more respect for the three of you and your abilities. It can be as simple or as complex as you like. I'll be asking for player input on other things later down the line as well. So I figured introduce it now.
Well, I would like to say that Momo is very, very firm in making sure that nothing at all goes wrong. She's very vigilant and on guard to ensure that the day goes as planned and nothing stops the funeral, nothing interferes with the solemn and dignified occasion that it is.
So it would be fair to say that Momo wowed Molly with her organizational prowess and ability to plan for every contingency.
Yes.
Excellent. So you have been summoned to Molly's office in the building that she uses to conduct her business, and you've been in her office many times. It's a comfortably, if sparsely appointed room. There is a sideboard with a carafe of water and drinking vessels of varying sizes to accommodate long, thin snouts, short, blunt snouts, that kind of thing. A plate of just kind of plain, hard-wearing trail biscuits that she's said many times she just can't get away from. She just finds them nice. There's usually a fire burning in the hearth. She is an old dog. She feels the cold, and above the fire is a portrait of her pioneering party. She stands kind of in the middle, much younger. Her fur, this lustrous, vibrant red, wearing just plain, if hard-wearing robes. To one side of her is actually a Transylvanian hound, and you know that he does in fact live in Houndton now. He is Lachlan Transylvanian hound. I just went to the wrong place in my notes, don't mind me. He, much like the rest of the Pioneer Party, they all retired at the same time after whatever happened. But for people who don't know what a Transylvanian hound is, they're a medium-sized hound. So he's of average height. He's got this black fur, tan markings on his muzzle, and Transylvania has also those dogs that have the eyebrows. So he's got tan eyebrows. So he stands to one side. He, much like Sigmund, was a guardian. But unlike Sigmund, he's standing there just casually leaning against a two-handed sword, the point resting out of the portrait. And on the other side, Scott Retriever, the shepherd that she travelled with. You know, there was a fourth member of the Pioneer unit, Larissa Spitz. She was a ratter. Her name is synonymous with audacity and daring, but the only sign of her in the actual portrait is an origami crane. That the well-known story is that she folded it and left it in her in room where they were staying for this portrait to be painted, because it has been painted in the common room of an inn, reputedly the inn that they all met at, but this is all obviously scuttlebutt. In front of the hearth is her desk. The right-hand side of her desk, parchment, a couple of stoppered inkwells, some spare pens, some a sand tray, and you know there to be a drawer in the desk with wax and a sealing kit. Left-hand side of the desk holds two objects: her kind of ceremonial badge of station, granted to her when she retired, and a small, about 6 inches across, rectangle of glass and metal, cracked, and as far as you're aware, that was her foci. You've never seen her cast a spell in any of the time that you've spent with her. That is the room that you find yourselves in. She is sitting behind her desk, having just beckoned you in. She's wearing hard-wearing travel robes, similar to the ones in the portrait, but these are travel-stained, dusty. They've been repaired, and she's kind of rubbing almost unconsciously at the eye patch over her left eye. It's just like it's plain weathered leather. At some point, it may have had some kind of design on it, but just time has taken its toll. And as I say, it seems like a habitual unconscious motion. She's done it several times when you've been around, and it's just she's obviously preoccupied thinking about something else. But so she has beckoned you in. You can be armed or unarmed as you wish. Again, and you can be armored or unarmored as you wish. This is the capital. This is a Pioneer-owned building. If someone were to cause trouble here, they'd probably have a death wish. But it depends on your character's personal level of paranoia. But she stands, and she's stiff. She's an old dog, as I said. The red, mostly silver at this point. But she gestures to the sideboard and to the chairs, and she says, "Help yourself. This is all very short notice, otherwise I would have arranged for higher quality provisions." And when she says high quality provisions, she means like a bowl of trail mix as well as the biscuits. She's a dog of simple pleasures. You weren't followed, were you?
Sigmund will kind of walk in first, but probably hold the door for the others, kind of letting them sit. He's used to being on guard. He was a former royal guard, so he's in any kind of official meetings. He's always remembering his training and his upbringing to really always kind of be on his best behavior. He is an older dog himself. He's a Pyrenees, so he has kind of white grayish fur. He wears a blue traveling cloak. Sometimes wears the cloak over his head. One of his ears has a notch out of it, like it was bitten probably when he was a pup. But he will nod to Molly, and just kind of wait for the others to sit, and then he'll take the last seat.
I have a question. Sigmund is a big dog, right? He's a bigger dog.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So Momo's going to walk in underneath Sigmund's arm as he's holding the door open. She's very proud. She's very well dressed. She's a little fashion, we'll say, but she takes everything very seriously and firm. And she probably goes in first is the point, and she sits down and she goes, "No, we weren't followed." She is a mini Australian Shepherd. So she's shorter than most, but tall is a state of mind, we'll say.
And I don't know if anyone actually sees Cecil enter the room, but she is sitting and she goes, "Of course we weren't followed. You told us not to be followed." And she's a Afghan hound, so a little bit larger than Momo, but definitely smaller than Sigmund. Long hair, wearing sort of rougher looking clothes, definitely more like you might see her comfortable at a fish market or something more like that than anywhere formal.
Again, because I'm awful at voices, so I will usually preface this by character says and then continue it as them. So Molly nods and and says, "Good. I mean, I doubted you would be. You're all consummate professionals." And she looks at Cecil. "Thank you for what you did at the funeral. And as you are consummate professionals," and she takes on a more like business-like physicality. She sits down, crosses her hands on the desk, neutrally, but very formally. "Your professionalism and discretion is what I will be calling upon for your next assignment, if you are looking for work, anyway." Excellent.
Yeah, we're here.
Good. There are a few that I would trust this to. You may know some of my history, and she gestures to the portrait above the fire. Lachlan remains a dear friend, despite. She kind of just drifts off for a moment. Her eye on the focuses, despite everything that happened at the end. And he has, well, a matter has arisen, and he is requesting the help of some skilled pioneers in dealing with it. I have suggested inquisitors, but he would prefer less orthodox investigators, I feel, in the wake of what has happened and in the delicate political balance of Houndton's upper class. 3 days ago, his estate manager, and she glances at the portrait above the fireplace, was returning the accounts book to the family safe and discovered that the Transylvanian hound relic was missing. Out of character.
Gasp!
Yeah, as a reminder for people who maybe just joining the stream and didn't hear it earlier, if a noble family doesn't have their relic, they are not technically a noble family much longer. So back in character. He believes, or he and his wife believe, that this is political skullduggery. There is a ball coming shortly, within a few days, in fact, that is the highlight of the Houndton social calendar and is traditionally when the noble families display their relics for all who are invited, and of course it is a thoroughly vetted guest list, for all to see, to prove that they are worthy of being a noble of Houndton. I do not know how much or little you know of Houndton. Lackland's family fell on hard times before he was called upon to take the family seat, and they are. And she rubs the eye patch unconsciously, and then catches herself doing it, and visibly stills her hands. They are concerned that this most recent blow will remove them from the town that they have lived in for quite some time now, and in fact co-founded. Their castle lies empty there. They themselves live in their townhouse, and that itself is in poor repair. This blow could spell the end of, not of the family, for as with all dogs, they have a large family, but the family station. She looks a little awkward, as if she's about to ask something that she feels is going to be imposing on you. There is a moment of silence if you wish to say anything.
If you need help, Molly, we will assist you.
She nods and opens a drawer on her desk and pulls out a small scroll of paper, such as you would find attached to a carrier pigeon leg. The Lady Mayor of Houndton, Linda Foxhound, has sent word to the castle that there's been a rash of disappearances within Houndton itself, and she believes that a unit of Inquisitors would be an efficient solution to the problem. The King's brother, who, out of character, you'll all have met him. He is simultaneously proud to be the senior librarian and to be able to help people, but terrified of the fact that the people he can help are pioneers, and you're all extroverts and terrify him. So any conversations you've had with him have been this weird mix of incredible pride and emotion, and a distinct feeling of he just wants this to be over and done with as quickly as possible so he can run and hide for a moment in like a sheltered nook somewhere in the library. Back in character. He, in his position, was responsible for passing this message over to me. I identify with this librarian though so much. Yeah, I know that feeling. Obviously out of character, that was me, that was Ryan. Back in character. And, well, if Inquisitors are in Houndton, there's no guarantee they won't find out about Lackland's problem. And I would much rather this be dealt with to his satisfaction, and if you manage to help the Lady Mayor as well, all the better. She might be able to help you with introductions to the other hound families. She has those connections. Her family, the Foxhounds, are in good standing with most of the houses. But I cannot order you to do either of these. These are purely discretionary affairs. The choice is yours in this instance. It is, I admit, a little irregular.
Are we authorized to engage the Inquisitors as needed?
If you perform an initial investigation and truly believe that Inquisitors from the castle, or from the city, are the best way forwards, that is your decision to make. For some context, by the way, out of character stuff, the city guard is broken up into the guard, who are kind of the rough equivalent of the, I guess, beat cops, and the inquisitors, who are more of the investigators and handle that side of things. They share infrastructure, though they're not like a separate entity.
Sigmund was a royal guard, so would he have been probably at odds with the inquisitors?
You may have had some negative dealings with them in the past, yes.
Okay, that's what I kind of figured, but I just wanted to ask if that was the official
Yes,
right way to look at it. So.
If I'm recalling correctly, and I don't know if my computer would like it if I try to open the relevant PDF right now. If I recall correctly, the Royal Guard are essentially like a private army, separate from the City Guard. So there's already that inherent tension of you're technically doing the same job as them, but under different auspices.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Obviously, if anyone in chat knows better, please do correct me.
So thank you for calling us. Of course, we're happy to help. I have a couple of questions. One, does the mayor know about the missing relic?
Molly thinks for maybe half a heartbeat before shaking her head. I cannot say for certain, but I highly doubt that Lachlan would advertise this information. She is, after all, she makes air quotes, elected head of the city, and it would be in her interest to discredit any rivals to the position.
And you had mentioned that the mayor had called in about a rash of disappearances, or disappearances of what or who?
She glances at the scroll in front of her. She simply says that 4 of her subjects are missing.
If you want to give us any more information on that to look over, simply for cover's sake, that might be wise.
She pushes the scroll across the desk. This is all I have, but it should... if you were to pursue this, it should give you... It will prove that you're there for at least that purpose as far as she is concerned. It is her handwriting on her scroll.
Thank you. And does Lachlan know to expect us?
He simply requested the help of some of my most trusted pioneers. And she gives you a look with her eye kind of saying, "Don't prove me wrong."
I am deeply honored to be included in that number. And Cecil definitely overdoes whatever response to a near comedic level. There's probably an eye roll in there.
Yeah, this would have like a sound effect in the background.
Yes. Well, does anyone else want to ask anything before we...
Okay, well, first of all, gasp. Second of all, we are absolutely on the case and we will take care of this. 100%. You can count on us.
She looks at you, Momo, and nods. I would expect no less. However, in this instance, if you feel that a written report is not in the best interests of all involved parties, I fully understand. And she doesn't usually ask for written reports, but sometimes, particularly if you end up having clashes with cats or the badger tribes, she does usually ask for something at the very least as evidence that you tried to make the situation less worse. than it may have ended up.
Of course, discretion is my middle name. Momo Discretion Momenta. I'm on it.
I want that on a t-shirt so bad right now. But for her part, Molly nods and then kind of abruptly stands, not in a dismissive way, but just crosses to the sideboard and just starts taking biscuits, and then sits back down and just chews them awkwardly. This is just a nervous thing for her.
Sigmund's a little itchy. That's a nervous sign from him too.
Cool. Do you have any more questions? She says, like halfway through a biscuit, realizing that you're still there.
No, I believe we have what we need. And he'll kind of stand up slowly. His knee cracks a little bit when he gets up. He's
can we make ourselves known to the mayor if we're picked up by the city guard or anything like that, or should we not tip our hand that we're there at all?
No, by all means. The only discretion that is required is in the Transylvanian Hounds. In Lachlan's matter, if you wish to make yourself known to the mayor at any point, she will certainly be able to open doors that Lachlan himself cannot.
Great. I don't have any other questions right now.
I'm on it. I'm with you. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just looking at Momo.
Same page. Yeah.
If you wish the use of mounts as there is a time sensitive component to this, the ball, to my understanding, is in 4 days. On horseback, it'll take you 2. On foot, it'll take you 3 days to arrive. I can certainly make arrangements for you to borrow horses from the stables.
That would be advisable.
Oh yes, of course. We need the time to get ready. There's dressing and fittings and makeup and jewelry and everything. It's going to be perfect. It'll be great. Yeah, don't worry about it.
What are you planning, Momo?
What? Perfection, of course.
I think
it's a ball.
Wants to go to the ball.
Oh, you think we're going to the ball?
Well,
we'll talk about that when we get there.
Ball.
Ball.
So you want to chase the ball? I gotcha.
Are we not chasing the ball now? We are going to chase the ball. We have to have this done so there can be a ball. This is all. The ball is important.
Someone is throwing the ball.
Someone is throwing the ball. We have to go get the ball. We have to make sure that it's taken care of.
Wow. Oh, wow. I'm leaving now.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Molly's just massaging her temple. These are my trusted associates. If she were talking under her breath, it's definitely the body language of, this is the right thing to do. I can trust them. They're going to get the job done.
We have to protect the ball, make sure no one hurts the ball, that nothing goes wrong with the ball. It's very important.
Let's go.
No monsters
Momo.
with the ball.
Let's go, Momo.
Yeah. Okay.
Goodbye, Molly.
She gives you a resigned nod of support. Like, you get the feeling that she wishes she could go with you, but she's just past her prime at this point. She knows her value is more in sending out people who can do the job.
Sigmund is approaching that time, so he kind of knows, this might be his last adventure. So he kind of feels what Molly's going through. So.
Okay. Sorry.
Cecil is probably the last to leave the room, and she looks at Molly, goes, "Don't worry, It will get done. And I'm sure the ball will also be safe.
Well, she looks in Momo's general direction. I'm sure that if the opportunity arises for you to attend the ball, that there will be a little quarrel from some quarters. Of course, I can't speak for the Hound families, but I'm sure you'll make friends. Do you all leave?
Yes.
Okay, so here's where Pugmire really shines compared to a fair amount of other RPGs, actually. We don't have to now have a shopping session where you buy everything that you think you could possibly need. You will have noticed when making characters that it was just like, hey, you have a few plastic coins or some plastic coins, and the character will have just a plastic track with similarly vague terms. What actually happens is if you think if a situation comes up that you think you would have prepared for, you can, say that I think I packed something, or I think I bought something for this, and you can make a wisdom saving throw, and depending on what it is you're trying to say you packed, that alters the difficulty. But if you succeed, hey, you've got it, and you don't need to track any money. It's just you've packed it, which is great as the guide. All of the rope. I mean, you are a ratter. You will need the rope. Yes, the journey. This is where I'm going to throw it over to players for idea generation. What happens about halfway through the journey? It can be as simple or as complex as you like. Just an event happens on the road. It can be you meet someone, bad weather forces you into somewhere interesting. I'm a fundamentally lazy storyteller. I don't know if anyone can tell.
So I think that suggestion is a good one. Squirrel.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, about, we'll say halfway through the journey. So, we'll say halfway, it's about 10 o'clock in the morning on the second day. So you're over halfway there. You're definitely going to get there by the end of today, unless anything drastic happens. But I believe that both Cecil and Momo are herders and have the keen observer trick. Cool. So you hear it before Sigmund even has a chance to, really. There's the sound of something moving through the underbrush nearby. It's large and moving at speed. The horses have started to pick up on something. Have started flickering and the tails are swishing slightly, but they're not panicking. They're just nervous.
Whoa, steady, girl.
Gonna ready my crossbow.
What is it?
Something's coming. Big, fast.
Cecil gets off her mount and stealths over to the brush, I guess, or wherever the sound is coming from. So, do you need me to roll anything?
Yes, I would very much like you to roll. Do you have the sneak skill?
No.
Okay. So this is just roll the d20 and add your dexterity modifier, please.
This is a great start to our game. Total of 6.
Excellent. So the good news is that whatever is moving towards you probably doesn't hear it when you tread on the dry wood that snaps loudly under your paw, because it's making more noise than you are. The bad news is, as you kind of you flinch, the horses, they don't bolt, but they definitely make that initial movement to bolt. But if Momo and Sigmund are on top of it, they don't actually go anywhere. They just
Sigmund kind of moves over to kind of block them. Kind of whoa, steady.
Grand. But as Cecil instinctively kind of looks down to check what she's trodden on, that's when the boar-sized squirrel bursts out of the undergrowth. Could I have a dexterity saving throw from you, please? If you have the black dot filled in next to dexterity saving throws, you roll the d20 twice and pick the high result, a mechanic known as advantage.
I rolled 14 on both of them.
Grand. For a total of?
With my dex modifier of 2, it's 16.
Even better. You do manage to throw yourself out of the way, and you get a brief glimpse of this squirrel, and you know instantly that something is horribly wrong with it. One, yes, it's perhaps a little larger than you're expecting squirrels to be. Even though you are yourselves dogs, canines, felines, and squeakers do exist. They're normal-sized cats, dogs, and rodents. I mean, you yourselves are riding horses that aren't uplifted or giant in any way, shape, or form. So this is definitely something that you haven't come across before. You notice that its fur is almost like porcupine quills. And as it brushes past you, as it bolts past you, you also notice that there is no way in heck its mouth is ever going to close with its teeth being that long. They will meet and force it open. But there's also something wrapped around its neck that deeply buried in the quills/fur and flesh. If you want any more information than that, I will require a notice roll. You do have advantage on those because of your upbringing, your keen observer trick.
Yes, I do have the notice skill. So I roll 2d20 again. Is that what I do?
2d20.
If I have advantage?
Because you have advantage because of keen observer. And because you have because you have the notice skill, you add 1 to the result and you add your wisdom modifier.
Okay. 18 plus 3 is 21.
Nice. On top of all of that information, as you're just diving out of the way, taking all this in a snapshot, you do notice behind one of its legs, you've seen these maybe once or twice, like royal physician level of medical care, and a syringe with a needle is sticking out of it, just beneath its leg, and kind of waving around in the breeze. The needle is... Not only is the needle in there, but the flesh has grown almost around the syringe to hold it in place. For Sigmund and Momo, you see a grotesquely overgrown squirrel. You notice the teeth that are far too long for it to be able to close its mouth without either breaking them or puncturing its own brain pan. As it dashes across the path in front of you.
Shield out, Warhammer out, ready to... Not engaging it just yet. He probably hasn't... Does he notice the thing on its neck? Really just looking at teeth, I would think.
You can make a notice check if you want.
Okay.
It's d20 plus your wisdom modifier plus 1 if you have notice as a skill.
Okay.
Both of us?
If you want to as well, you can, Momo. Momo, also, you do get advantage on this because of the keen observer trick.
I got a 6, so no.
Yeah, you see the teeth, and that's about where it ends for Sigmund.
Dirty 20.
Okay, yes. You don't, because of the angle you're at, you don't see the syringe, because you're just, I assume, still mounted. But you do see the fold, around the neck that would infer there's something like a collar or similar hidden by the flesh and fur. It doesn't appear to be antagonistic, and it unless you do anything to it, it will just kind of cross into the forest on the other side of the road. It just doesn't look...
No.
It doesn't make you feel comfortable on the inside to see it. looks wrong in numerous ways. Like, it's not natural.
Sigmund will stay with the horses in case it comes back and just sort of waits.
Okay, Momo and Cecil, how are you reacting to this?
We should we should see where it came from, but also we're on a time limit.
Don't chase the squirrel, Momo.
No. I mean, yes, but also no, because what happened to it? That's not a squirrel. That's a monster. Is it a monster squirrel or is it a regular? No. Something happened to it. It was not. It was maybe small first, and now it's big. I think.
Cecil looks after it and does not make to like follow it into the other side of the wood or anything like that. She's like, there was a syringe. And like some kind of really tight collar. If it was smaller before, maybe the collars from when it was smaller.
Collars are bad.
Collars are bad.
Syringes are bad.
Syringes are also bad. They hurt. But yeah, I agree. That's definitely something to be aware of, but nothing that we're going to deal with right now.
We have a task before us.
But it could be. It could be. Yes, it could be that if the people that went missing, maybe they are connected to this. But I don't know. There's not enough information. I don't have a whole picture.
We must stay on the trail. Follow the scent.
Yes, but we'll think about this.
Sigmund will get back up on the horse and just get ready to keep traveling. Come, Momo.
Okay. I'll come.
So you're just going to continue on. Okay, you travel for the rest of the day, and the route between the city of Pugmire and the Empire of Pugmire and the city of Hampton is reasonably well traveled. It's reasonably well protected. So things like that are definitely not the norm. And you do meet you yesterday met travelers. You do see travelers today, but you have purpose. They are more just kind of traveling merchants, traders, that kind of thing. A couple of road wardens pass you, just asking if you've seen anything strange on your way from Pugmire.
Yes, we did. We saw a squirrel, and I think maybe it was small, but then it got really big, and its teeth were too big, and also maybe there was a syringe. So you should do something about that, because we can't, because we have business. Also, I would like to, because I do have merchant as my background, I would like to gossip, if I can, with the traveling merchants to hear what they have to say, because I'm very interested.
Yes. So let's have, first of all, can I have a, are you proficient, sorry, do you have the persuade skill on your character sheet?
No.
Okay, so if you could just roll the d20 and add your charisma modifier to it to see how successful you are at informing the road wardens about the squirrel.
7.
Okay. They is anyone corroborating this?
Wait, no, sorry, 10. But yes.
Sigmund stays silent.
Nope. Cecil is. These are authority. She is hiding from authority by being very nonchalant and normal.
Okay, that's fair. So if you had been corroborating, that would have been helping, and Lee would have had advantage on the roll. So I'm going to just roll their sense motive to see if they, get to the truth of what Momo is saying, or just write it off as this is a weird traveling thing that's just happened. This pioneer clearly needs some, mental health professional. But no, they believe you. they don't necessarily believe all of it, but they do share a look. And the one that asked if you'd seen anything strange on the road nods. If we and says, where was this?
It was that way. It was that way. There's a big break in the hedge, so you should be able to see where it went. And then it went to the other side. We didn't ask why it was crossing the road, because it's not a chicken. But also, we looked, and it went from one side to the other side, and so there should be a big break in the hedge. Big break in the hedge where it went.
They nod and ride off. Regarding the merchants and traders, were you looking for any kind of merchant or trader in particular, or just kind of a generic one?
Whatever we run across. I will try and focus on if we see anyone who's got like high quality, expensive, luxurious goods, because we're dealing with the high families. They might have heard or seen something.
Okay. There are. Hang on, I'll just grab a d4. So you do see three, not traveling together, like three, let's say pairs for ease, so 6, I guess. 3 pairs of merchants. 2 of them are going towards Hounton, 1 of them traveling away, but they're all wearing the clothes that you, with your background, would associate with someone who the word has gone, who trades in fine goods and luxury items. So would you like to talk to the ones heading towards Hounton or the ones heading away?
How many are heading away?
Just 2. They have a cart, as most merchants do. But it's kind of, they've got like the shutters are open and you can see that it's almost empty. They've clearly sold most of their wares already and are probably going back to Pugmire to buy more.
Then I will talk to them. The others, I wanted to just make small talk. Like, hey, how you doing? Oh, good. We're on the same path. Maybe we'll see you in town. But the gossip, I want the hot goss from the people who've already been there.
Okay. So, because I feel like we're trying to highlight the playtest and the rules, if you wish to, so default attitude is just indifference. They don't really care about you either way. But if you would like to make a charisma check, I will roll a sense motive check, and if you beat their sense motive score, you improve your relationship with them. They relate to you more favorably.
I'll give that a shot. Yeah.
Oh no. So D20 plus your charisma.
Yeah, another 20.
Okay. Yeah. No, I rolled 7. So yeah, they're definitely very pleased to make your acquaintance. Really, they seem so. They're 2 papillons.
Oh my god, I live there. Oh my gosh, you're so pretty.
They
so good. Who's my ears did that?
They introduce themselves as Jared and Tabitha Papillon. And Tabitha has these, so for people who don't know what papillons are, they're really small dogs, and there is all like butterfly wings, which is why they're named papillons. It's French for butterfly. And Tabitha has like braided all of the hanging fur from her ears together, and has 2 like jeweled bows just slowly moving when she moves her head. Jared, his I guess wealth signifier is less ostentatious, but these are clearly merchants of some renown. He has the the device of a merchant house just embroidered in gold thread on the tunic that he's wearing. But where there's this like a rearing horse, and the horse's eye is picked out in a small gem of some kind. But they definitely open up to Momo, and I imagine Cecil and Sigmund have seen this before and can react to it however they want to react to Momo making fast friends with people that she's probably never met before in her life.
Just kind of know that's Momo. just basically just kind of staying on watch, and no, that's how she gathers information.
Okay.
I look to see if anyone is watching Momo do this.
If you want to make a notice wisdom roll, you have advantage because of keen observer.
Total of 19.
Total of 19. Excellent. Looking around, there are some birds in the sky, but these are normal birds, not uplifted like you are. Just as a side note for people who may be unfamiliar with the setting, the uplifted animals that you can play as in first edition are dogs, cats, rodents, birds, and lizards. And then in second edition, the rules that we're working with is just dogs, cats, and rodents, because other things will be introduced down the line. But birds and lizards are kind of rare outside of around the area around the Acid Sea, and they're small populations anyway. So you can see some birds flying. You can see. Let's say that you've kind of stopped to have this conversation on the road as it kind of goes for maybe half a mile or so before it goes over at the crest of a hill, and you can see it at the end of that half mile. There is another like wagon or something approaching, but those are the nearest people, animal creatures that you are aware of. If anything changes, I will let you know. With that roll, but yeah, Jared and Tabitha, they immediately Jared jumps off, runs around the back of the cart, and for Sigmund, you're probably able to step into the cart, but Papillons are small dogs, so yeah. He kind of you hear the sound of wood creaking, and like heavy solid wood creaking, and then there's a thump as something is dropped onto the ground behind the cart, and he sticks his head around and beckons frantically to the three of you. Come, there is tea, coffee, water, wine.
Signal will wander over there.
He has put a ladder from the back of the cart onto the ground for anyone who needs it. Inside the cart, as you can see now, as you approach the rear opening, this is clearly something that, yes, they can rest in if they choose to for a limited period of time, but it's not like the medieval equivalent of like a motorhome, for example. This is just for short journeys of probably no more than a week between trade stops. But you can see that pretty much everything is tucked away. Everything has its place, and it's in that place. If they haven't sold it, there is a one wall is just cupboards, meticulously labeled and locked. And to Cecil's eye, these are very expensive locks. But you can see that they seem to mostly trade in cloth, fur, jewelry, that kind of clothing and accessories. So that's one wall. The other wall is more of a like a leisure area. There's a table that Jared is currently in the process of folding down next to a plush-looking sofa that, to your experienced eyes, probably opens out into a bed of some kind. And there is a small, oddly, considering everything in here is probably hand-carved wood, oddly metallic box that you do recognize as being an enchanted box of some kind, but without studying it closer or witnessing it being interacted with, you got no other frame of reference for what it might be. But he is working at a small, like a really small wood burning stove to brew to boil some water for whatever drink you choose. You can see there is a wine rack nearby, and his Tabitha, his wife, is opening the hatch at the back of the driver's seat just to, gain entrance to the wagon that way rather than have to go all the way around.
So I'm guessing this is all small dog sized. That Sigmund's not going to be able to get in there.
There is so above the sofa, there's like a shelf for personal items. It has a door in it to stop things falling out, but at the very, very end of the wagon, where you are, it just ends abruptly. So there is space for one single taller dog to sit comfortably on the sofa. Your thighs might be a bit uncomfortable because it's sized for theirs, but you can sit relatively comfortably. Without having to squash up.
He's gonna get up in there and just kind of like just sit down in the wagon. Probably goes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Down and he's gonna just try to make himself as comfortable as possible. So.
So Jared is sorting out the refreshment. Tabitha gestures to the seat as you sit down. Please sit. It is. Well, it's quite nice to see travelers who just want to chat, who aren't just asking how the road is ahead or how the road was behind, and just. It's been a while, really. You get the sense that they probably do this quite a lot, just backwards and forwards, and nothing really ever changes.
Well, I mean, I was a merchant once too, and I love luxury goods. Love luxury goods. It's so good. So beautiful. I love your hair. I love what you did with your ears. That's fantastic. I wish I had ears that I could do that with. And it's so the jewels, everything. It's so sparkly. I love it. You have to tell me. What were you selling? What's big in Houndton right now? What's big in there? I want to know.
Oh, she as Cecil and Sigmund have come to associate with people who experience Momo's full personality, is a little flustered and not sure how best to react. So she kind of stumbles for a moment, verbally stumbles for a moment. Well, thank you. I am kind of unconsciously touches both of the not earrings, but the jewels hanging from the bows hanging from her ears. Thank you. They were an experiment, and they seem to between you and me. She leans forwards conspiratorially, although, as Cecil knows, there's no one nearby. I think these are the next big thing, but I'm hoping to introduce them into the ball season in the city, and maybe get a contract or two to make them for a couple of the families. But then she gestures to the organized the labeled cupboards. As for Houndton, well, it's the start of the ball season, so the annual Hound Ball is happening within the next few days. Do you know much about the ball?
I would love to know more. What can you tell? Anything at all?
Oh, okay, excellent. And throughout all of this, Jared is kind of moving around to like little pot of tea leaves, little pot of coffee beans, wine with some glasses. So, I mean, we don't know much. Obviously, we've never attended, although we do petition for entry every year, because some things you just have to try once in your life. And Jared kind of, yes, we do. You do. And she takes a moment to collect herself, and then as she's doing that, she sorts herself out some tea, pinch tea leaves, hot water, goes into the metal box and pulls out what you recognize as a sealed pitcher of milk, and this blast of cool air comes with it. It's a fridge.
Gasp! Fantastic.
Yeah, so the ball is a commemoration of Hampton's history. The date is reasonably fixed in the calendar, although it is difficult to measure these things without the old one's knowledge of sorry, this is me, Ryan, deliberately saying astronomy and not astrology. I always say the wrong thing. Of astronomy, and so obviously it's approximately the date that that the city was founded. And the noble families simply throw a ball, and if you can afford to petition them for entrance, you may be allowed to enter the ball, or if you are a resident of Houndton itself, there is a lottery for attendance, as the families believe in equality. All of their citizens are valued, and her tone of voice, by the way, does not indicate that she disbelieves any of this, but it is probably a PR thing for the cynically minded among you. All the citizens are valued and are allowed entrance if the lottery permits it. We typically do very well in the run up to the ball. We well, you can probably see she gestures to the cupboards. We trade in cloths and fabrics and small jewellery that the tailors and other clothiers of the city would be interested in. I pride myself on believing that our material is seen at the ball, and that perhaps one day one of the hound families will inquire as to where another of the hounds managed to obtain silk of such high quality, and our name will be uttered in those vaunted halls. She continues on in this vein of aspiration for quite some time, unless stopped. Her husband is equally as enthusiastic about their trade, and interjects periodically with like dream customers or people they've sold to, names which, for the purposes of this adventure, will almost certainly be unneeded, and because I'm awful at naming on the fly, will not create.
I would like to sort of subtly encourage her to talk more about any customers that might be related to the mayor or the Transylvanian hounds.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. If she knows anything, I'm just trying to get her to get where I want her to go naturally.
No,
like a herder might, like a shepherd might.
No, of course, totally. There's no role required because she's happy to talk. Well, I mean, the Transylvanian hounds, it's awful, really. Their castle is just, it's on the hill. It's falling to ruin, but you can see it from pretty much everywhere in the city, and just having that constant reminder of where you should be, where your family used to live. Oh, the poor things. I mean, Jared and I, we often talk about buying a townhouse to reside in, because they seem such grand and ornate buildings that we would love to, but our money, we have a modest property, of course, but our money goes to paying staff and suppliers and investing in the business, and maybe one day. She trails off for a moment and then catches herself. But the mayor, the lady mayor, Mrs. Foxhound, she is a lovely woman. We do business with her wife quite often. Not necessarily luxury cloth, but we have provided the cloth for several of their tapestries and curtains. She seems to preen herself as she says that. Sorry, chat's told me to hydrate. So.
I bet the curtains are fantastic. I can't. Oh, are they blue? Are they red? Oh, well, that doesn't matter. I want to know what the color of the season will be, so I can be appropriate. I am going to dress to impress. Maybe I can't get into the ball. Maybe I can get close to the ball, like ball adjacent. That, and then maybe next year, and you build on that success, and you build on that success, and you build on that success. You know what I mean?
Yes, of course. I mean, that is why we repeat this trip on a monthly basis, just to get that name and success there. The color of the season, and she stands, and Cecil, if you want to make a notice check to figure out where she takes the key from, it's entirely up to you. You have advantage.
I don't think she could help herself.
That's fair.
Honestly.
You have advantage on it because of keen observer. D20 plus wisdom plus one.
So that's not a great roll. 9 total.
Was that with rolling twice and using the highest result?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You're not sure where she produces the key from, but she produces a key from somewhere,
Okay.
and unlocks one of the cupboards. This one is just marked fabrics, and she reaches in and she opens it, and you can see it's just a series. It's essentially just square a shelving unit with boxes, pretty much, and all the boxes are secured to the shelves to prevent them falling out during transit. And she unlocks that with a key on the same ring, and she lifts this box down and reaches into it and pulls out. It's probably just a sampler of fabric, but it's this really deep, luxuriant, crimson. And she passes it to Momo. Take it. But that is the color of the season.
Ooh.
And you can see she's got several samples in the box, but that's all that is actually in the box, and it's a box that should be holding a lot more fabric.
Ooh. Red, not my color exactly, but I bet you would look amazing in this.
She blushes and laughs, giggles awkwardly to herself as she puts the box away and locks the door in.
Crimson. I will keep that in mind. Yes. Crimson. I can see it now. Yes.
She again looks conspiratorially, but between you and me, I'm not sure it's the right color for all of the hound families. But if that's the color they're buying, that's the color we're selling.
Of course. Oh, Transylvanian hounds with their black and that little bit of brown. Ooh, very dashing, very hunting. I love it. Foxhounds. Yeah, I can see what you mean. You know what? It looks a little old world royalty, if you know what I mean. Really old world royalty to have that brown and that white and that black and that red, but modernize it a bit, maybe. I can see this. I can see where we're going with this. Yes. But you're right. Not everyone can carry off such a bold color. You need to have the right palette for it.
She's taken over the glazed look that is just being momoed. But blinks at it. Yes. Well, as I say, you're welcome to the fabric. You will, possibly, if it has not already been spoken for, be able to find enough to make an item of clothing for yourself with in Hampton. If you, I can write the address of our trading partner of the tailors we have supplied.
Fantastic. I would love that. Yes. I don't have time to do something for myself, but maybe pret-a-porter, I can make it work.
So Jared is hurriedly with sorry, 1 second. It's a relatively new thing that has been kind of doing the circles in high society in Pugmire. So you've encountered it in adjacent circumstances, but one of the relics that another of the pioneer team brought through recently is what is known as a pencil, and he appears to have the smallest piece of pencil you could imagine, and is with great reverence using it to write down this address for you, because they don't appear to have anything else to write with. And he passes you a piece of paper with an address on it. It's for a wholesale cloth merchant.
That's amazing. Fantastic. What will they come up with next? What will?
The old ones left behind many mysteries.
Oh, fantastic. I am gagged.
Is there anything else that any of the three of you would like to ask the Papillons?
I mean, this entire time, Cecil has been sitting there and playing with whatever utensils are on the table for the tea or coffee, and she might catch herself slipping one up a sleeve, without realizing it, and Sigmund probably knows to watch for this, and just nonchalantly puts it back on the table. So that's probably happening the entire conversation, and she doesn't even realize that she's doing it, or that Sigmund is stopping her from doing it. It's just what is.
Sigmund's an old dog and probably started to drift off while Momo was having a conversation, but he sleeps with one eye open and keeps an eye on Cecil. And when sees something, kind of goes to just let her know that he's watching her.
And the only question Cecil has for these merchants is, so suppose someone was to be at the ball and crimson is the color in season, what would you recommend to be a real statement piece, an eye capture, something that would be a little distracting from all of that red?
They share a look. And then Jared actually addresses you. When you say eye catcher, would you prefer something complimentary or something that no animal in their right mind would wear because it clashes so garishly?
She glances at Momo for some kind of cue. What was that, Momo?
You don't want to be matchy, but you want something that will make it pop, like pop.
I think that means complimentary.
Yes, complimentary, absolutely.
But I am also curious about whatever would be utterly clashing and hideous.
We should know what to avoid, what to and what not to wear, what not to wear.
He thinks for a moment, and then produces. Tabitha left the cupboard open, so he just goes to the right boxes and stuff, and produces a couple of. Again, these are just fabric samples, and he puts a small pile of like rich blues and almost trending towards violets, and it's like, well, these will probably do you for statement complimentary, and would probably catch the eye of someone who is looking for a certain level of refinement and knowledge. These, and he taps, like, they're still rich and of obviously high quality, but vibrant green trending to yellow. These would certainly be eye-catching, but would require a certain is clearly struggling for the
panache.
Panache, yes. This would require certain panache to pull off, if worn in conjunction with, and he gestures to the crimson swatch that Momo has. Now, of course, if you are wishing to make a statement, it's the way to go. It would certainly get you talked about for at least this season.
Storyteller, I know you said that like supplies and economy, not really something we worry about in Pugmire.
Yes.
But if we were hoping to make friends with these merchants for potential later purposes, and two, if we do end up at the ball and need to cause some kind of distraction, it might make sense to purchase fabric from said merchants. How would we go about doing that?
How many plastic coins do you have on your character sheet?
I don't think I bothered writing it down.
Mine just says a few coins.
Yeah, I think it's either going to be a few or a handful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's no numerical tracking. It's just a vague thing.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if my laptop can handle opening another PDF while capturing Zoom 4 times and streaming.
I have some coins.
But does my party understand where I'm going?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's
I
where we got
agree.
the contact information for their tailors.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find the plastic track so I don't give you the wrong information.
But it wouldn't be a bad idea to throw them a couple coins just to kind of curry their favor.
Oh god, where is it? I thought it was in this PDF, but it might not be. A mistake might have been made. Is it in playing the game? I didn't think I'd need this information. There it is. So if you have some coins, that downgrades to a few coins. Or if you have a few coins, you could just spend everything you've got to curry favor with them. And you'd have no coins left.
Okay. She asks for the contact information of their friend in the city and the names of the colors so that she could pick up enough for 2 gowns in those various color schemes.
Jared just pushes the samples across the table at you. Please, by all means, the merchants that I have written, that I wrote down, they all carry this material.
Thank you.
He nods. Of course, if you do decide to go the... And his eyes just drift to the greens and yellows, the air-catching route. Please don't tell them it was us.
Of course, that would be my own tone-deaf fashion if I had to say anything.
He smiles, and like he's kind of touching that merchant house design almost as a self-confidence, like I can get through this habitual behavior. Yeah, they start, locking up the cupboard with the materials.
We will protect your reputation. You will be protected by us. We have you in mind. Take care.
They share a look and thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much. You gracious hosts. Fantastic setup. Loving this so much. Yes, it's because it's small enough for your needs and also big enough for ours. It's wonderful. And the technology. You have a cold box and a pencil. I don't have a pencil. I want a pencil.
Well, the pencil was in part payment for a job. Jared looks at the box. The box was perhaps a little ambitious, but we are reaching the point in our lives where it's the little comforts that make the journey tolerable.
Is the little cold box magic?
Yes. We found an artisan who wished to experiment and gave us a good deal. Little temperamental sometimes. Sometimes it's a hot box, but
Hot box.
Well, it occasionally makes things hot instead of keeping them cool. But then, of course,
usually eats cold meals. So he doesn't understand any of this.
A hot meal? What?
Hot meal? What's that? He's gonna kind of get up with a creak, and I guess does he have to back his way out?
Happily, he's like right next to the exit, so he could just stick a leg out and just step down like that.
He just kind of steps back down, puts on his hood, because he doesn't know, I don't know if it's cold out or rainy out or whatever, and he just kind of gets back on duty. So.
Yep. Exit. Thank you for hospitality.
No, thank you for being such wonderful guests and for listening.
No, thank you.
And they, there's some awkward struggling noises as Jared heaves the ladder up back into its resting position, just on the floor. But they set off as I imagine you do. Would anyone like a quick break?
I'm okay. Do you need a break?
No, I've got enough water to see me through until the end.
Okay.
I'm good for now. And I think Lytton will be okay too.
Okay, so hydrate. You arrive in Hampton later that day. It's as I described earlier, it is a town that grew organically from a series of mining towns. So it's kind of built in a valley and up the sides of the hills that the valley is formed from. The top of the hills, you can see imposing castles that are clearly designed as statement architecture that people also live in. Oh, there we go. There's chat going crazy for the cat. I told you they would. And the from your vantage point, because the road just kind of wends in between two of the hills, so you don't get like a great looking down perspective, like bird's eye perspective of it. So you're more just traveling, and then you see the hills with the castles, the castles on them, and the buildings. What you can see, however, preventing you from seeing the other side, preventing you from seeing the hills on the other side of the town, and therefore the castles on top of it, is this weird, irregularly shaped hill that's just covered in buildings. And it's maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles from the city limits. But it's hard to put a finger, a paw, if you will, on what looks wrong about it, but you know it's not a natural thing. As part of the information Molly gave you, she did also give you the address for the Transylvanian Hounds townhouse if you do want to go straight there, and she gave you the address for Linda Foxhound's office, for the Lady Mayor's office, if you want to go there. And obviously you do have the merchants, the cloth merchants addresses now. But
I think the mayor might be a good idea to check in with.
I think we should check in with Lachlan first, if only to find out what the mayor does and does not know, or anything else we should be aware of. Because if the mayor is, we don't know what the mayor's prerogative is.
Is
And
this
we're here for Lachlan.
Is this a formal city where you're expected to check in with things, or is it just kind of come and go as you please? Like what's kind of the vibe we're getting?
there are there is, more grammatically correct, there is a pair of guards stationed by the gate that will let you into the city, because there is a wall built between the hills, and the road goes through a gate. Sorry, I've just noticed the thing in Zoom chat. From what I recall, dogs will sniff each other's paws. Sniffing other things is rude.
Okay. We wanted to find out.
I'm sorry, did you say dogs sniff each other's paws or dogs
Paws.
sniff each other's balls?
Paws. PAWS.
Okay, thank you.
Although Cecil's ready to can do whatever she likes.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you what your character does, of course. I think that's in the realms of Pugmire chapter, and I don't know exactly where it is. Otherwise, I would confirm it. I can confirm it off stream if you are particularly interested. That genitalia are not sniffed.
No, I'm good. Paws are good.
Does height play into it at all?
No, I'm assuming tall dogs will make the concession of bending down.
Okay, good.
And not just like sniff at whatever height you happen to be. This is a conversation I didn't anticipate tonight, I'll be honest.
We're just trying to learn the world.
That is very true. Also, it does bear pointing out for people who like to know this information, but you are dogs with fingers and thumbs. Like if you particularly want that image in your head, you do have fingers and thumbs. So enjoy that. I know some people don't like that image.
Oh, so it would be like kissing the hand, except you're smelling the hand.
Yes.
Maybe. Okay.
I'm frantically scrolling through. Oh, here we go. Sorry, misremembered. So generally, you'll just assume everyone's a friend if you don't know them, and dogs don't form enemies naturally or easily. Civilized dogs do shake paws because, quote, many dogs believe this is the way the old ones taught them to act in polite society, which is precious. Strays and free dogs might prefer to sniff each other's paws as a form of greeting instead. So it's depending on what your character would naturally gravitate towards. Only uninvolved canines sniff hindquarters.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries. I wanted to check. I don't like not knowing. It's compulsive.
Thank you. You've now given me a weapon to create a big scene if I ever need to.
So yes, there is a wall. It's not terribly well maintained, but the war of cats and dogs ended a couple of decades ago. So, and there is a peace between the monarchies of Mao and Pugmire. So apart from the odd bandit attack, if any bandits or any of the Badger tribes decide to attack, they probably don't need a defensive wall anymore, and that's just kind of, it's an expense that's fallen by the wayside, let's say. But there are 2 guards. They seem reasonably alert, just kind of keeping an eye on the traffic going in and out of the city. They don't particularly pay any attention to you unless you draw attention to yourself.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we're trying to be inconspicuous. So yeah, thinking about it, Sigmund will probably change his mind and agree with Cecil and just say, let's go that way.
Agree. Yes.
Okay. So you're heading for the townhouse. And this is why I put headings in my notes. Which, as a side note, anyone who is thinking about GMing any kind of game, if you do make notes, put headings on them so you can navigate easily. It just saves a lot of time and scrolling. So the Transylvanian Hounds townhouse. It's in a assuming you ask around for directions, you are directed towards it easily enough. The city is very much the poorest of the poor live in the middle on what you learn is called the spoil. It's kind of like a communal spoil heap between all the mines, where just all of the rock they can't do anything with ended up during the founding of the town. And over time, it's just become this semi-stable housing and low-cost services area. So that's where the poorest of the poor live. Away from that is more. I don't know how well these terms translate to other cultures. I'm using classist. I'm going to be using like British class terms. So lower, middle, and upper working, for uneducated people, or educated people with low income. They live on like kind of the flat ground between all of the hills that these mines and castles were built upon. If you live on the slopes of one of the hills, which is where the townhouses are, you are probably reasonably affluent. And then the top of the hills themselves, you have the castles and the noble estates. The Transylvanian Hounds are on the complete other side of the city, so it does take you about an hour to navigate there. Even though you're mounted, you're still dealing with relatively narrow, twisting streets. This was an organic growth urban center, so you end up backtracking a couple of times and taking wrong turnings, and it's a mess. But there are enough people walking the streets to direct you, and everyone seems that like the vibe of the city is reasonably upbeat and positive. There's obviously places that you travel through that look run down, but the people in them seem like they're making do with what they've got. The atmosphere definitely seems anticipatory for the ball or that kind of thing. And as you leave the valley floor itself and the spoil behind and head towards the estates, the avenues and boulevards where the Transylvanian hounds live, you see shops that have bunting and flags and more celebratory accessories that combined with the bright fruits and flowers of the trees and plants growing in the middle of these avenues and boulevards lends a convivial atmosphere to the place, even if the buildings themselves are a little run down and worse for wear. But as you start making your way up the hill towards the townhouse, you can see at the very top of the hill, kind of outlined perfectly against what at this point would be the evening sky, a castle. It is foreboding. It has a tower that is half crumbled. From this distance, you can make out little beyond that, except the two herders with just naturally keener eyesight. You do see that the way that the setting sun is reflecting off of the windows leads you to believe that some of the windows are probably cracked or missing, broken or missing. Sorry. But you find your way to the townhouse well enough, and it's from the curb. It looks in reasonable condition. It's certainly better kept than the houses on either side of it and on the rest of the street. And the street itself is wide and well maintained. It's a 2-story, so correct me if I'm wrong, but American English uses the first floor as the bottom floor, and then it'll be the second floor as the top floor of this building.
Yes. Yep.
Cool, because that's tripped me up a couple of times. I've said ground floor to American friends, and they've just given me a completely blank look. So, first floor and second floor, with perhaps as you approach, you can see there's something on the roof, like a row of maybe ornamental trees or shrubs, as if there's a rooftop garden perhaps up there. But it's set back. It's got a nice, well-tended lawn. The windows are these like large, clearly designed to let in a lot of light. And this time of day, the curtains are drawn, but you can see torchlight and firelight behind them, just flickering in a couple of the rooms. The upper floor is completely dark, but you can smell the smoke of fires burning and that kind of. It feels lived in and is clearly, at least from the front, clearly well maintained to keep up appearances. The door itself is at the top of a small flight of carved stone steps as a portico, and the door is this imposing black edifice with a brass knocker directly in the middle of it. Kind of about halfway along the frontage of the building. There are narrow alleyways between the buildings, so if you did want to go around the back, you could perhaps try to, but that is what you see from the road as you approach.
I think scouting the sides might not be a bad idea.
I will wait.
The Sigmund is not the most dexterous one.
I will wait for instructions from the other two before going up and immediately knocking on the door. Like if they want to scout, then I will scout.
Yeah, Sigmund would probably put a arm in front of her, like, wait.
Right. Okay. Yes. What
He
now?
looks at Cecil.
Yeah? Did I miss something?
Do we need to check the sides, or are we merely opening the front door?
I'll look if it makes you feel better. I'm not expecting a whole lot of trouble.
Hmm.
But I'll go look. So she does the scout thing, and she's not really looking to hide what she's doing from anyone. Well, actually, the bit of what she's doing that she's looking to be a little more subtle about is if she was trying to break in here and steal something of extreme value, how would she do it?
Okay. I guess that would be a notice check.
$15?
Okay. So you don't have to go far to get most of that information. So I'll give you what you can see from the front and the sides, and then if you want to go around the back, obviously you can. But as you kind of walk across the front lawn to both sides, you see that yes, there is an alleyway that's maybe about 5 feet. Do you prefer feet or meters as a consensus?
Doesn't matter to me.
Only I instinctively work in feet, but it took me 2.5 years to realize a European friend of my D&D campaign probably prefers meters, and he had no idea what I was on about for his 2.5 years.
Feet is fine for that
Okay.
for me.
So it's the alleyway is about 5 feet wide, and then it probably does go the whole length of the building, as most alleyways do. But there is a 10-foot high brick wall, about 20 feet in, topped with another 10 foot of iron spikes. The wall does have a looking at it, probably reinforced door on both sides in it that is almost certainly going to be locked. But you can attempt to get through it if you want to, or you can just leave it as is. From the front, the easiest way is probably just to climb some of the ornate like gutter brackets and get to the roof and try and get in that way, or go through a window.
She's not gonna try to sneak in until the Transylvania Hounds know that's what she's doing. She doesn't want to die before they've done anything.
That's it.
Just Sigmund just wanted a lay of the land in case we need it later.
So she comes back with more information for Sigmund than he probably wanted about like how she would break in.
That's enough. Knock on the door.
Okay, who's knocking on the door?
Me.
Okay.
I had a
tracks.
feeling she was just going to burst past.
Duck under the arm, straight to the door. Yeah, you use the brass door knocker, and it resounds as brass door knockers do. But you hear poor steps from inside, and the door is opened by a reasonably short woman. This like shaggy, long, thick white fur. It's almost as thick as Sigmund's, but she is a lot shorter than he is. And she's wearing this kind of like plain, functional, almost uniform, probably of a long tunic, in this black material with what is probably the Transylvanian Hound's coat of arms on it, and which is a two dogs' heads, one looking left, one looking right. and just black trousers. She does have a knife at her hip, but most dogs will carry a small knife for eating purposes, particularly if you're like a traveler. But she looks up at Sigmund. She sees Momo because they're about the same height, and looks up at Sigmund, and then I assume would notice Cecil last, just due to Cecil's nature as a ratter. That's profiling. I do apologize. Mostly because Cecil, I imagine, is just further away, and also Sigmund is huge. But she does. Momo's close enough that she to notice. She does give Cecil a suspicious, measured look before blinking and cocking her head slightly and saying, "How may I help you?"
Hello. Yes, I am Momo Momenta. I am here on official business with my colleagues, my good colleagues here. Sigmund, yes, is my colleague, and also Cecil, also my colleague. And we are here. We are here because of discretion.
There is, I'm going to roll for this to see if she understands. There's a moment where standard Momo-induced confusion ensues, and then her eyes widen slightly, and she gives this like extremely minute nod, and then they step aside and beckon you in. They do give the pronoun switch is intentional, by the way. They do give Cecil like a measured, suspicious look, but don't prevent Cecil from entering.
Cecil does like almost comedic finger guns in greeting, and like, in a way that's like, I know you're watching me. Was what it is.
If anyone does wish to do so, where did my cheat sheet go? Sense motive is a skill. I don't think any of you have it.
I do.
Okay. If anyone does want to, it's a charisma based skill, so D20 plus charisma modifier. And if you have sense motive as a skill, you can add 1 to it, to your result. If you don't have sense motive, you can still try it. It's just a charisma roll.
I rolled it. I got a 20. So.
Oh.
As in natural or?
No, dirty 20.
Okay. Sorry, Lee.
It's okay. My void is on my arm, so I can't always mute. So I apologize in advance.
So good. What did you? What, do you want to roll sense motive, or is Momo?
Oh
just
yeah, I'm sorry. I said cool. It was 9.
Okay. Yeah. Momo's more interested. Well, Momo doesn't pick up on it. Let's say I don't like telling players what their characters are doing. Sigmund does pick up on the fact that this suspicion is probably less related to Cecil wearing, I imagine, what ratters would typically wear, like dark light leathers, and more the fact that she's an Afghan hound. And the Afghan hounds are a prominent family in the city, and the Transylvanian hounds have lost something very important to them that they think the Afghan hounds might be involved in.
He's just going to grumble under his breath to Cecil, be like, watch your step.
Momo is too busy looking around to notice, so that's what's going on.
So inside, the house is a slightly different story. Everything is still... How best to describe this? The family clearly had money once. The rugs are opulent, thick shag, or pile if you prefer. Probably like the result of many hours of master crafted of master crafting, but they're starting to unravel. They're a bit faded where the sunlight's hit them. The oil paintings on the wall are all fantastic paintings in their own right. They're probably Transylvanian Hound family members, because they're all kind of medium-sized dogs, black fur, tan markings in varying items of luxurious and obviously expensive clothing. But the oil has cracked, and in some places, again due to light damage, has faded. The gilt frames, the corners of them where people may brush up against them as they walk through the reasonably well kept hallway, they've tarnished or they've chipped. The lamps that are burning are turned down low to maximize the oil efficiency, and there's just a general feeling in the air of a house that probably doesn't have the staff to maintain it. To the two of you who are herders with the keen observer trick, it's almost as if it's starting to smell musty, with not neglect, but just can't keep up on top of the house. And because I feel bad pointing out everything that the keen observers get, Sigmund, to your eyes, the house is fine, but you can see on the like there are a couple of ornamental suits of armor in this entrance hallway, and you can see because basically it's just a short entrance hall with a door to the left and the right, with two suits of ornamental armor, the paintings, and the lamps, and there's an open door to the left where you can see a weapon hanging over a large burning hearth, and both the ornamental suits of armor and the weapon, they are at second glance less ornamental and more, they have been used and they haven't been repaired properly. There's slight scratches in the enameling on the armor and things of that nature.
It offends him because that, the armor should be polished, all the weapons should be, kept up to snuff. So yeah, he'll just kind of
yeah. They are polished, but it's as if the polish is highlighting the flaws, if that makes sense. But the individual who opened the door, she looks to see if you're followed and then closes it behind you. Please, this way. And she gestures to the room with the roaring fire through the open door. I will go and fetch Lachlan. And she heads the other way, presumably further into the house. Do you go through the open door?
Yep.
Okay. It is a there's no two ways around it. It's a sitting room. It's a large sitting room. There is a hearth burning merrily. There is a stack of wood next to it. As above the hearth is this it's a greatsword. It's the greatsword that Lachlan was leaning on in the portrait in Molly's office. It's clearly seen better days. And then above that, just kind of glowering down in really old-fashioned clothing, is this old Transylvanian hound, like black fur that's gone like steel grey in places. This portrait has been maintained, and the scroll work at the bottom of the gilt frame, and it's a life-size portrait. The scroll work reads Archibald Transylvanian Hound, and he's just staring. The oil's a bit dark to make out detail, but he appears to be standing next to a pair of unevolved canines, just staring out into the room in general, just glowering. This imposing presence that reminds you whose house this is, essentially.
I'm picturing Vigo from Ghostbusters too. So
yeah, basically that. All of you pick up on the fact that this portrait is too big for its set for the room that it is in. It crowds it almost, and that's not. I mean, it's a medieval fantasy sort of world. Like, you're used to portraits, and you're used to being in places where portraits are found, and usually they are the right size or too small. But I say this one is too big.
Is it a safe assumption to assume that this was from the manor house that has been transported to the townhouse?
This is almost certainly from a great hall of some larger building, and has just been brought with them when they left. But there are a series of low, comfortable-looking couches arranged around the fireplace. There is a small one wall of the room has the window to the front, and set up in front of that is a pianoforte and a harp in one corner. And the other side of the room is a small. It's bookshelved with a small, like, comfortable seating area for reading books. Currently sitting on one of the comfortable armchairs, almost actually dwarfed by it, is a dog in well made and but slightly archaic looking clothes. Her dress is maybe a year or two out of fashion. The boots on the floor at her feet are ever so slightly scuffed and are more like 5 years out of fashion. But she's currently just reading a book on plants from the title embossed on the cover, and she is another Papillon, short, big ears. Her fur is starting to go silver, like at the very tips of her ears and on her muzzle. But she closes the book as you enter, and oh, you must be the guests that Larissa just answered the door to. How can I assume my husband has been alerted? Forgive me. And she puts the book down, puts her feet in the boots, and walks over to you and offers her hand, which, for Sigmund is more of a kind of reach up and offers hand.
Just takes it, sniffs it, says, "Greetings, I am Sigmund."
I am, and she'll shake hands or sniff hands. Whatever you do, she reciprocates. Carolyn, Transylvanian Hound. My husband, Lachlan, is the head of the family. Forgive me. We were not expecting visitors, and we get them so rarely these days. Can I interest you in food, water? I might be able to arrange something a bit grander if you give me time.
No, water's great. Hi, I'm Momo Momenta, and it's so nice to meet you. Oh my gosh, classics never go out of style, do they? You just look fantastic today. These are my associates. Sigmund is such a good guardian. He's such a good boy. Yes, I'm so glad that he's here with us today. Yes, and this is Cecil. Cecil is also fantastic. Love her all the time, every day. Can't go anywhere without these two. Anyway, we were here for discretionary purposes.
Again, I'm going to roll to see if the Momo-induced confusion. Nope. She clearly understands what that means straight away. No momentary confusion or indecision. She just nods. Ah, right, of course. Well, if you'll follow me then. And yeah. She just rather abruptly turns and walks through the door that was next to where she was sitting, which it's like a study, essentially. And assuming you follow her, the study is... It's almost divided into two. From where you're sitting at the door, like you're probably at the back of the house. No, well, you're not at the back of the house because there's no rear window, but you imagine anything beyond this is probably servants' quarters. But the left side of the study has this incredibly well-organized display of... I don't know how your characters feel about geology, but rocks, each of which is labeled. And there's a large desk covered in papers, parchment, and just drawings of rocks of varying qualities with notes associated to them. The other side of the study is much more utilitarian and functional. There is a smaller desk with a battered leather chair behind it, and then just shelves of, at a glance, probably family records and business interests, things of that nature. And then I say it's almost divided in two because spreading across the line is a love seat, just facing the door. And the door itself, as she opens it, it does creak as if it's not the hinges aren't well oiled. But as she opens it, like, the love seat has this perfect view past you to the window at the far side of the sitting room and out into the street beyond. Well, yes. Well, this is mine and my husband's workspace. Please, she gestures to the love seat. Looks at Sigmund. I'll get another chair. Please sit. And then she, just grabs the chair she was sitting in and awkwardly dog handles it through into the study.
Help.
Thank you. And he'll just kind of slowly sit down.
And as all this is going on, you do hear other footsteps as two pairs of footsteps as presumably Lachlan and the dog that opened the door to you approach, and in fact they do.
Sigmund stands back up at attention.
Crack. The Momo and Cecil would pick up on it first, but Sigmund would also notice there's something odd with the footsteps of one of the individuals. There's the noise you would associate with a booted paw, and then a clunk, booted paw and clunk, and Lachlan is one-legged and is using a prosthetic, and he's using he's not using a cane, but he's holding himself stiff and erect as if he's trying to put on this outward display of pride in front of strangers in his house. But you can see, leaning against the desk, there is a cane, and he probably has others throughout the house. But he himself is wearing well-tailored clothes that, again, they're a year or two out of fashion, but they are well-maintained, they're looked after. They do suit, but both of them are wearing clothes that flatter them. But he, as I say, he stops momentarily as he sees the three of you. Carolyn just nods, and he gives this deep bow. Lachlan, Transylvania Hound.
Would Sigmund have had any experience with him previously in the past?
It's possible. He would definitely visit Molly on occasion.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he and he would have been at the funeral as well. So he's definitely seen you all before.
Okay.
In fact, I believe I saw you all at Scott's Retriever's funeral.
We did. Good to see you once more.
Well, perhaps if we meet a third time, it will be in more positive circumstances. And he steps into the room, and is followed by whoever they are, and he gestures to the white fur dog. This is our estate manager, Larissa. You can trust her as you would trust us. And she nods and she closes the door, and there's a curious sensation as all of the fur on your body stands up on end momentarily, which Larissa is a Spitz, and they have, as I said, long, thick fur, so it's slightly humorous as she just kind of poofs up momentarily, and then the air in the room takes on this deadened quality, and then that static fades, and all of your fur drops back down again. I imagine on an Afghan this would look hilarious. He does regard Cecil warily But and does turn to her. I apologize for asking, but you are not a direct member of the local Afghan Hound family, I assume.
Nope. The last time I was here, I think I stole something from them, maybe, but not from here.
He nods to himself. How much did Molly say?
She gave us a rough idea of what was going on, but there were a lot of details. So anything you say that would fill in those little missing pieces here and there, just whatever you feel comfortable with, we're open to. Also, we came to you first just to make sure that we don't cross any boundaries we shouldn't be, because we're here on official business. We want to operate within the lines, but also we do understand that this needs to be handled discreetly.
He nods. This is the first person who appears to be immune to memo-induced confusion. He's a remarkably collected older dog who has probably seen a lot in his approximately 35 years of life. Yes, discretion, very well. And he gestures to Larissa, and she steps forward and clears their throat. Well, the gist of it is simply that I was returning the accounts to the family safe. 4 or 5 days ago now, and the family relic was missing. The display case shattered. We assume that this is just the latest in a long game from one of the other families. Hence, and she gestures to Cecil. Hence the suspicion. I apologize. I was unsure of why an Afghan hound would be here. She's still very wary, and as I said maybe 2 hours ago, her reputation as a ratter of extreme talent. So she's professionally wary of everyone anyway, so it's probably just a less insulting thing, more of a, hey, it happens. But it's up to you how Cecil reacts. Obviously.
So there've been other acts of aggression against your family recently?
Yes, this is Lachlan again. Several of the merchants that we regularly trade with, and he kind of gestures absently towards the business records, have either declined to trade with us or mysteriously sold their stock to unknown third parties. Carolyn clears her throat. Don't forget the ball, dear. And he full on like growls at the back of his throat. Yes, the ball. We actually had to petition for entry this year, despite the fact that it's being held in our ancestral home. He gestures in the vague direction of the castle on top of the hill. But apparently, if you're not living there, it's fair game.
Yes! How very dare they?
Quite.
I cannot believe that they would. How could they insult you like that? This is honor. This is tradition. I just can't.
Down,
I
Momo.
need a minute. I need to compose. I'm going to compose myself. Okay.
Carolyn says, well, while you do that, I'll go fetch at least some water. You look road-stained. And she leaves the room. And every time the door opens and closes, there's that static and deadening sound. Lachlan, for his part, watches his wife leave. And then, now that you are like not friends, but he knows why you're here. He slumps slightly and does limp to lean against his desk, and his hand kind of reaches for his cane, and he uses that as another support. Larissa, for her part, goes and stands just next to the door, so that there's this kind of triangle thing going on. You can see all three of them. She just continue. Of course, once you are composed, and this is me, I'm aware of the time. I'm just trying to get to like a natural break point. Once you are composed, I will of course show you to the. I believe the formal term is crime scene. A crime has been committed, and while I have some skill in these matters, I am also. And she glances at Lachlan, obviously emotionally involved in the situation, and a clearer head will perhaps see things I've missed.
I'm going to want to take a look at it, and I'm going to want to take a closer look around the outside, see how someone might have gotten in, presuming you haven't already. Actually, if you have any ideas, tell me later after I've looked around.
Yeah, this is Larissa. Yes, a clear, unbiased view would be best. Catelyn returns with basically just a drink, water and snacks, essentially. Puts it on her desk because it's much larger than Lachlan's. Lachlan smiles almost like tiredly as she does this, but does say, "We will answer any questions you may have, and if your investigations do lead you elsewhere, we will make what introductions we can with the other families." But he kind of shrugs and smiles ruefully. "We lack the standing that we once had, shall we say. You may be better looking for introductions elsewhere."
I believe, as Momo has said, discretion should be the key element, and perhaps not letting anyone else know about this or our involvement for the time being.
Of course, there is a little known tradition outside of the Hound families, but the lead up to the ball is treated as an opportunity to show off to visitors. I'm sure that if you can gain an introduction, they will happily show you their relics, if they still have them. We are assuming that we are the only ones affected in this manner, but... And he trails off and kind of shrugs.
No, of course we will do this for you. We will get you justice as you deserve. Make sure that this is made right. How dare they?
The three of them smile. Larissa does kind of cock her head. This is more aimed at Cecil, but like including Momo and Sigmund if they wish to. But if you would like to see the room, it is as it was.
Yes, please.
Yes.
And Sigmund, why don't you stay here? You shed a lot.
Hmm.
Okay.
Also, for being polite, maybe you would like the chance to rest. It's been a long journey.
Very well. And he'll look for a chair. He'll go back to the same chair and sit down very slowly.
Yeah, that's fine. The Transylvanian hounds are clearly going to keep their distance from this so they don't crowd you, and they do start. It's that awkward thing where they've got stuff they need that they think they need to be doing, so they start doing that. but just around you and almost not pointedly ignoring you because that'd be insulting, but acknowledging you're there without acknowledging you're there, if that makes sense.
Please go about doing whatever you need to do, and we'll let you know if we have questions.
Lachlan simply nods. Carolyn smiles. Larissa leads you through the sitting room to the other door in the entrance hall, and leads you into it's basically just a U shape, except the room that she leads you into has which is where the study would be. You just go through kind of like a games room, card table, darts, billiard table, etc. Leads you into the room that mirrors the study on the other side of the house, except this one has an additional door into it that presumably leads into a dining room of some kind, because it's open a crack and you can see an elaborately carved sideboard. But this room has a giant safe against one wall that occupies about a quarter of the room. And then in pride of place, there is a pedestal. It's not terribly large, maybe a foot square on top, with a shattered glass case. There is a cushion in the case with an orb-like depression, as if something round, ball-shaped, rested on top of it. And Larissa just gestures to that. That is what I encountered 4 days ago. It has been untouched since.
All right.
Investigating would be a notice roll.
I'm good at that.
Notice or search, it's your choice. You'll see different things. But you have advantage for both, but I assume you'll take notice because you have that skill.
Mm-hmm. So that's a total of 18.
Okay. So, with an 18, just for reference, because it's an investigation, you were always going to find something. It's just the better you roll, the more you find. With an 18, you notice that where the glass of the case meets is joined. Sorry, because it's cube. In one of the corners, two things. One, that the glass is extremely thick. And two, there is a tuft of white fur caught in it. Just kind of presumably caught on the glass, and it fell into the display case and is trapped between the glass and the cushion. There's this kind of like fine white fur. And you also find, as you're kind of looking around the room, in the well, do you limit your search to the room, or do you go like through the connecting door?
That depends on if we want to end or if you want me to do a full-on. I will do full-on investigation mode, but
okay. So
we want to keep it to time.
Overview of what you encounter as you do the full-on investigation. The connecting door is indeed a dining room, much like the rest of the house. It's seen better days. That leads you through to a kitchen, and in the kitchen, in a scattering of flour that hasn't been cleaned, because it presumably just as everything's been left as is, as much as possible, you find a paw print. It's facing away from, as if like going further into the servants' area. But it's weird. The print itself is twisted slightly, as if the paw went down straight, and then as the weight was added to it, it slid. And then with the 18, you also discover that there is a broken window at the back of the building. It's kind of hidden behind. It's a small window in a pantry hidden behind a pile of empty like Hessian sacks, presumably for grain or things of that nature, that have been pushed aside. I can send you those clues in the write those in the Discord server if you want, but that is what you find. And
She's also going to want to know when the sacks were brought in. Cecil is wondering if someone snuck in with an order of grain or something. But there are small dogs that are good at, hiding in weird places. She's done it, I'm sure.
Larissa tells you that they have been there for months, if not longer. Just looking around, this is a kind of like a disused pantry. It's just used to store stuff more than... It's used to store storage media rather than food. So it's just empty barrels and sacks and that kind of thing. But that is what you find. And that is time, unfortunately. Hopefully you've all had fun. Hopefully chat's enjoyed this. I guess another reminder before any outro happens. The rules that we are using are not the rules that will be provided presumably in the back of manuscript for the Kickstarter that will be happening at the end of the month, as Eddie Webb, the games creator, and presumably the writing team are going through and removing all content that falls under the Wizards of the Coast OGL, so that it is its own thing. It is unaffected by the current situation, let's say euphemistically, and it will use the Onyx 20 rule set. Do any of my wonderful players have anything they would like to say as an outro?
Fantastic time. It was great. Loved it. Every moment. On the edge of my seat. Really fantastic. Good times.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to our next session.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I'm enjoying the characters, and I think they're interacting pretty well. So yeah, looking forward to the next game.
It is an interesting mix of personality types. For anyone who, if you have watched this and you have liked it, please follow myself and everyone else on Twitter. All our Twitter handles are in the overlay. I'll be back on the channel on Tuesday morning Eastern at maths in my head 9 a.m. For a 2-hour show where I will be writing Pugmire first edition content, and then kind of discussing how you can write content for community content platforms. And for anyone who is interested in this show specifically, keep an eye out on the Monday meeting notes and Onyx Path social media for when the next episode is going to stream. But that's it. So hopefully you've all enjoyed, and it has been a pleasure to be the guide for this session 1 of A Ball to Die For. Looking forward to session 2, but goodbye. Oh god, I moved OBS, so I can't do a quick scene change. This is just awkward all around.